Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharane Nirvase Sasunyvari Paskya Chadi Shitarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasinduvaeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So, devotees who are engaging in Krishna consciousness, when we first come to Krishna consciousness, it takes time to understand the actual purpose of what we're doing, because we're being given so much so quickly. It is overwhelming, especially coming from a lower level of life where you are attracted to Maya, attracted to the senses, and you're just beginning your Krishna consciousness. So you're very dependent on the rules, the regulations, the practice, and your spiritual master. Very dependent. It takes time to clear up the karmic reactions that we've had for many, many lifetimes. Sometimes it takes years and decades. It doesn't happen overnight, that's for sure. And so the purpose of what we're doing takes time to understand. The clarity of the message that what we are doing and how we will attain it. The more we are clear on the purpose, then we know, the more we know we are advancing. And the clear sign that we're advancing is when we actually begin to experience a steady state of bhav or ecstasy in Krishna consciousness. Now, at the very beginning, and this is very important, if one chants Hare Krishna, he immediately experiences ecstasy. That there's no question. That is the absolute beauty of Krishna consciousness. As soon as you start dancing and chanting, that is ecstasy. The reason it doesn't stay with you is because of the past reactions of karma, which still need to get cleaned out, dissipated. So you chant, you feel ecstasy. That is why the acharyas recommend that you continually chant, because other than chanting, there is really no method in this age of Kali to neutralize our past reactions. But there does come a point in your Krishna consciousness where the past reactions are neutralized to such a degree that the taste or the ecstasy that you experience with chanting doesn't diminish. It becomes steady. And this is what I've mentioned before in my videos. This is like the clearing stage. It's a very, very important first stage of excellence in Krishna consciousness. And it takes time to get there, because once you're there, you are on a place, you're at a level that is incredible. You have just surpassed the demigods. You've surpassed literally every position in the material world in order to be on a plane of existence where you are experiencing or understanding bhav or ecstasy. It is incredible. And this is the inner mission of Lord Chaitanya. He is coming to distribute this ecstasy. Now, what is this ecstasy? And that's what our talk is about today. If you look at everything that Srila Prabhupada has given us in Krishna consciousness, meaning our activities, you will get a really good idea of what it is that you will become. For instance, most of our activities are involved with feminine qualities. We offer flowers to the deity, we create flower garlands, we throw flower petals, we bathe the deity with different substances, we dress the deity, we chant the deity's names, we eat the food offered to the deity. All of these activities just looking at them pragmatically, are descriptions of how a woman is serving the husband in the best possible manner. But in this case, it's how a Saki is serving the Lord, the supreme male. Krishna is the supreme male. And so our bhakti yoga is meant to bring us into this feminine aspect of service to Lord Krishna, the supreme male. And there is no one who does it better in the eyes of Lord Chaitanya than Radharani. So from our Gaudiya perspective, Radharani possesses all of the excellences of Mahabhav, or the excellences of serving Krishna with the highest state of Bhav. And it is said in the Brahma Samhita, which I think I do have here. Yes, there's the Brahma Samhita. I'm going to read this verse. It's the 537 verse. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavi Tabis Tabir Ya Eva Nija Rupataya Kalabi Goloka Eva Nivashati Akilat Mabuto Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Lord Brahma says, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities in the company of her Sakis or confidants, who are embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual ras. Wow. Lord Brahma, the smartest, most intelligent being in the universe, composed that verse after directly experiencing and seeing and understanding the Leela, the conjugal Leela in Vrindavan. He could understand this. And so he writes here that the Radha is the embodiment of the 64 qualities of Bhav. And if you read that verse, the purport is given by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, and he goes into each of the artistic qualities, which are themselves personified. Now you start to grasp a little bit of understanding of the divine level that's going on here, the divine play, the level of which these Leela is going on. Everything is so inspired by this bhav, by this ecstasy. Now, and just to conclude, that the Sakis, who are, as mentioned here, extensions of Radha's form. So we understand that Radha came directly from Krishna's body. She is the perfect girlfriend or perfect female of Krishna, and her ecstasies of serving Krishna can be found in this actual word is kaya vyuha. So kaya vyuha are the extension forms from Radharani that possess these different ecstasies in part of her. And those are the different Sakis. So we as members of the Krishna consciousness movement, are becoming inspired by this bhav, by chanting Hare Krishna mantra and doing the services that we're doing. We are becoming inspired to develop the bhav, or the ecstasies of the Sakis. And if we continue on that path, we will literally develop a form of a Saki, because the form of a Saki contains these bhavas, which are being used to please both Radha and Krishna. And this is really how our Krishna consciousness movement is formulated. It is constructed in this way. So the members coming in can develop these feminine qualities. Now, when I say feminine, they are not mundane feminine. There's a big distinction. And this is part of the problem that materialistic or new devotees have. And I don't want to put them on the same level as materialists, because they're not. However, materialistic thinking is there for non-devotees. And when you are first coming to Krishna consciousness, it is hard to understand these feminine qualities without misunderstanding them and comparing them to ordinary feminine qualities. In the material world, that's not what we're talking about. The feminine qualities of the Sakis and Radharani are filled with absolute truth, with knowledge, with chit, with ananda. This is not the same qualities as a woman on the material plane of existence. This is a higher quality, even more so than demigoddesses or wives of demigods or like that. This is a very high level, very high level. It's still feminine, but not deprecated by mundane feminism. Okay, it is feminine super excellence. Otherwise, why would our acharyas desire to be manjaris? Why would Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, all of them, Lord Chaitanya himself? Why would all? Well, Lord Chaitanya was in the mood of Radharani, and all the acharyas following him are in the mood of servants of Radharani. Why would any of these men want to be women? What is the attractive features there? What is it that is driving all of us in Krishna consciousness to want to adopt this bhav of Radharani? And this is the question that we want to ask ourselves as we move forward in Krishna consciousness. But the answer is really simple. Krishna is the supreme male. He's one. He is Svayam Bhagavan. He's the supreme male. God is not just a judge. He's not just sitting on high judging, you go here, you go there, this is your lot in life, you suffer, you enjoy. No, that's not what Krishna is all about. When we say Krishna, we mean he who was filled with ras, with ecstasy of his nature. He is independently joyful. He has unlimited qualities of knowledge, wealth, fame, renunciation, strength. Krishna, not just does he contain these qualities, but they're always dynamically increasing. You cannot contain Krishna. He is uncontainable. He continuously continues to manifest his qualities. This is the nature of Krishna, and he is most appreciated as a supreme male. And no one appreciates the maleness of Krishna more than Radha and her Sakis. That's what the Charyas are trying to teach us. So how do we approach the one and only supreme male? Now, there are many males, but there is only one supreme male. So if you want to approach Krishna as a male, and you are a male, like Uddhava, as an example, or Pradyumna, or some of Krishna's cowherd boys, then you have a different type of relationship with the Lord. For instance, in Dwarka, Uddhava is considered the best of the devotees in Dwarka. And Uddhava is like an indentured, not indentured servant, but he is a confidential servant where he considers Krishna to be his master. So he relishes that relationship, just like Hanuman relishes his relationship with Lord Ram as master and servant. So there is male to male, but it does not include intimacy like a gopi. That does not take place. The men hug, Krishna hugs. Not so much with Uddhava, who's feeling more of a servant, but in the cowherd boy, in Vrindavan, the cowherd boys do embrace Krishna. They ride Krishna on their shoulders and vice versa. And there are play and wrestling going on, and touching and embracing and dancing. That is fraternity to its extreme. That is the bhav of fraternity between Krishna and his male friends. But the ecstasy or bhav that the Sakis exhibit is because they are female, and they have the female appreciation of the supreme male, which is, from our perspective as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the highest state of ecstasy that a devotee can have, because it allows intimacy of kissing and hugging and bodily interaction that no other devotee can have. And this is what Lord Chaitanya is revealing to us. This is the revelation in Gaudiya Vaishnavism of what our acharyas are giving. And it's very, very high. And this is why it's not something that we speak of to ordinary people upon first meeting them, materialistic people who are filled with material desires. This is something that it's not that we don't speak about it, but there has to be the proper way to speak about it. Otherwise, it will be misunderstood very easily, very quickly. The mundane mind will misunderstand. And yet, it is the medicine for the mundane mind. In other words, speaking about the gopis, hearing about the gopis, chanting Hare Krishna, which is Radha and Krishna, is the medicine for the mundane mind. And at the same time, it can also be the poison, excuse me, if it's not properly given. So that is why Prabhupada is always explaining to us that the doctor has to be licensed properly. The guru has to be proper in order to give this medicine of Gopi Bhav, okay, to their disciple. Now, interestingly enough, Lord Chaitanya did not discriminate. Lord Chaitanya said he just gave it to everyone, qualified and unqualified. He did not discriminate. However, in close proximity, when he was able to understand who he was dealing with, he sometimes withdrew his internal position, right, his internal awareness, and became more externalized. So he did show discrimination. He states, I'm giving Krishna consciousness to everyone. So the Hare Krishna mantra is for everyone, even qualified, not qualified. It is the Yuga Dharma. You don't have to be a Brahmin only to chant the holy names of Radha and Krishna. And we are, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, as was Lord Chaitanya, greatly criticized for that. Who are you to be giving this Radha Krishna Leela to ordinary materialistic people? This is the criticism. So Lord Chaitanya, he didn't discriminate in that sense, but for instance, when King Prataparudra wanted to see him, even though Lord King Prataparudra was an eternal associate, he was in the role of a king, and Lord Chaitanya says, no, I'm sannyasi. I don't mix with people who are engaged with money, with management. I'm a sannyasi. So he became externalized. And he would say, and he would show the highest level of external detachment as a sannyasi, very careful not to engage with women, not to go near them, not to even deal with men who were engaged in money and in politics or management. He chastised his disciples, those who followed him, if they were not following very closely. He did not allow anyone to bring him poetry that was not first, or writings that were not first scrutinized by his closest associates to make sure that there was no rasa bas involved. So it's not that Lord Chaitanya didn't care, didn't think. He was not an avatut in that sense. He did give Krishna consciousness and did give everyone the opportunity to chant. That is his magnanimity. But on a personal level, he maintained the highest level of purity in his activity. So these are things you want to contemplate as you grow in your Krishna consciousness. You want to understand the Lord Chaitanya's contribution by understanding his personal life, how he was in dealing with everyone, and at the same time, understand how his internal aspect overflowed and sometimes gave up. He gave up discriminating when his internal bhav overflowed. And so those two balances between his external life and his internal life are also important for us as we advance in Krishna consciousness. We can understand from someone like Srila Prabhupada, who I was extremely fortunate to have his association, even to a minute degree. Here we can understand is a pure devotee who is completely internalized on the highest level, who has complete bhav and ecstasy from the highest levels, and yet he maintained his existence outwardly. So he wasn't just going around crying and rolling around in the dust and doing things which would overwhelm and blow us away, or where we might think that he is a sahajya. Prabhupada always maintained himself and his gentlemanlyship, or his reverence and his officialness as a guru. He didn't have this kind of intimacy with disciples that he let his guard down and started rolling around among them. You won't hear stories like that among his most intimate disciples. He was always a guru to us. And so Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was the same way. He had so many disciples, but he was always a guru. But when you read his literature, you can understand that he knew and understood and felt everything. Everything. He knew it all. He felt it all. He was in the deepest state of Krishna consciousness. And similarly for us, as we become, Krishna conscious, we lose our false identity with the body. We begin to realize that we're not the body at all, that we are the soul, and that we are capable of ras, that we are capable of bhav. We don't just go rolling around and making a show of these emotions. We go on acting as a regular devotee, offering our obeisances, performing, following the regulative principles, bowing down, reading the same literature. You really can't tell externally one devotee's advancement from another, except by what they say. And as soon as they speak, you will know the level of advancement of a devotee. And so by what they say, you can distinguish a third class, second class, and first class devotee. It's based on their realization. One devotee is a third class devotee with a shaved head, Sika, tilak, looks like he just came from Vaikuntha, but he doesn't realize what a first class devotee looks like, understands. And he's also shaved head, Sika, tilak, looks like he just came from Vaikuntha. One's the guru and one's the disciple. So the purpose, therefore, of Krishna consciousness is to get to the level of internal bhakti, internal, as opposed to eternal, internal. Internalization of what we're doing. That's where the secret is. That's where the knowledge is. That's where the ecstasy is. Once we are able to overcome the external identification with the body as the self, that is where our Krishna consciousness really, really begins in earnest. And so at that point, the internal aspect of Krishna consciousness is revealed to you. All of the purpose of Krishna consciousness, the path, who you will become, the taste for Raganuga Bhakti, or I should say the taste for Saki Bhav, will develop naturally. There are devotees who don't understand how a male devotee can want to be a female Vaishnavi. I've heard this sometimes from devotees, even from God brothers, that can't understand that. And that, to me, is a sign that that devotee has not yet understood he's not the body. As soon as you understand that you're not the body, you're not the form that you look at in the mirror, nothing to do with you whatsoever at all. Your sex has nothing to do with you, your age, your body, your form, your past, your religious background, your parents, nothing. Then you can begin to understand how a male devotee or devotee in a male body can want to become a Saki. There's that point at which there's a crossover, not a cross-dresser, but a crossover in understanding. And it comes when you no longer identify as a male devotee or a female devotee. If you can get to that point, then you can begin to understand the highest purposes of why Lord Chaitanya came, the gifts he's coming to give. These are the real gifts, the internal gifts. Those who chant and are not self-realized yet, they benefit. Their karma is extinguished to a certain degree. They make advancement. They get benefited. It's even said that a devotee who leaves his body and doesn't understand that he's not the body, he can literally arrive in the higher celestial planets and enjoy life there for thousands and thousands of years. Or if he's more self-realized and has a better understanding, but not yet a pure devotee, he can take birth in the family of Vaishnavas to rapidly continue where he left off. If, however, he's experiencing bhav and knows he's not the body, he can take birth in Gokul, the next life, where Prabhupada says he can continue his training and his relationship that he has established. So really, that's what it is. It's not rocket science. It is spiritual science. Everything is kind of understandable. It's categorizable. It's not like it's just out there in one big mush or mesh or blob. It's not like that. It's not, oh, I said this, you said that. It's all the same. I can say something and you can say something, and there's no one's to say that what I say is right and you say is wrong, or vice versa. That's not true. There is right and wrong in our Siddhanta. There is levels of understanding. There are levels of achievement. There's levels of taste. It's all there, it's all laid out. And it's really good to have that and to have knowledge of it. Even if you are still embodied and don't know yet that you're not the body, you definitely want to understand the science. You want to read the books as you chant and continue your basic bhakti. You want to know the philosophy. Like I said earlier, it's easy to misunderstand or have misconceptions, and that's why when you read, you want to be careful and not try to impress, not the word impress, but to, I can't think of the word, project onto what you're reading and try to imagine something. It's try to be transparent in what you're reading. Trust your source, read with faith, allow the teachings of the acharyas to come into you. Take notes on what you've read. There are books written by some of my godbrothers which do a great job of explaining things. One of my godbrothers, Uttama Sloka Prabhu, has written several books, and he's done a fantastic job of categorizing the works of the acharyas so that it's more understandable and relatable and something that you can digest. Srila Prabhupada has done an amazing job of summarizing the works of Srila Rupa Goswami, like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The summary is Nectar Devotion. So instead of reading the entire Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you can read Nectar Devotion to understand what Rupa Goswami is saying. So our acharyas and godbrothers are writing these literatures to help us to get a proper understanding of who we are, what is the practice of Krishna consciousness, where we're going. How will I know I'm achieving something? What do I do if I haven't gotten to where I need to be? So many things. This is a subtle science. It is subtle, it's not gross. What's important here is becoming more and more subtle. That takes a change of character, a certain amount of humility, a certain amount of integrity, and a certain amount of courage. Constantly practicing, constantly chanting, minimizing our material ambitions in life, trying our best to hear and chant and to get the mercy of Guru and Krishna. This is a whole different course for us. We're not trying to expand materially. We're trying to contain ourselves materially. This is a different idea than what materialists are doing. Materialistic people are trying to expand their wealth, their power, their empire. And we're not doing that. We're trying to simplify our life, increase our purity, our refinement, our ability to concentrate. This is a different approach to life that devotees take. And ours ours culminates, our approach culminates in a internalization that is not possible for a materialist. Materialists, I know many ordinary people who are very intelligent. They have great minds and great intelligences and amazing IQs, and they can think and do many things, but they're external. These people are external. You might, and I'm not saying all, but you might find a very intelligent person, a leader, someone with money, fame, distinction, being followed by many, many people. And then the next thing you know, he's involved or she's involved with some base activity that might, whether it's a sexual transgression or some impropriety with money, they go from fame to being jailed. This happens all the time. Kings, you'd think are great leaders, and they end up getting sometimes imprisoned. In days gone by, some of these great kings were killed, guillotined, or hung. So that's because they are external. But that's not the case with Krishna conscious kings, who we have great respect for. King Yudhisthira, Maharaj Pariksit, Bali Maharaj, all of these great kings, Prahlad Maharaj, all of these great kings were able to control their senses because they were Krishna conscious. Their crowns came down to the ground and in submissiveness to Lord Krishna. They can control their senses. These were the great kings that Prabhupada writes about in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the key to life, therefore, is becoming internalized, not externalized. The key to life is found through internalization of yourself. Vision within, Supreme Lord is within, turning your face to the Lord within. This is liberation for us on the human platform. Misuse of our life is externalization. Power, fame, notoriety, money, expanding our empire. That's all externalization that leads to karma, that leads to a rebirth over and over and over again. Waste of time, waste of life. What we're doing in Krishna consciousness is supremely supreme. It's supreme. There is nothing higher than to clear away our karmic desires and to internalize and focus on service to Lord Krishna. Nothing is higher, nowhere to be found. Anywhere in the three worlds is higher than that. And nothing can possibly be higher than chanting Hare Krishna and following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami. Nothing can be higher. Or I should say, following in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami, emulating and worshiping the activities of Lord Chaitanya. That's the more correct thing. We're trying to understand Lord Chaitanya's moods. That's what we try to do here in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. It is the Yuga Dharma in this age. The Yuga avatar is Lord Chaitanya. His internalization, what he's giving us is Radha Dasyam, his love of Radharani. Again, I'm going in a circle here from when I first started my talk. But what we're being given is this Saki Bhav, this service mood of Radharani. And it is very, very high. I hope I've touched all the bases here. It's not something that you just get to from an internal platform. Externally, we all do the activities of a Saki from day one as a Krishna conscious devotee, initiated or uninitiated. If you worship the deities, if you're chanting, if you're offering flowers and garlands and making garlands and cooking, you are acting like a Saki. There is no two ways about it. But have you realized that? No, that takes time. That's the time factor. That's the work you put in and I put in our devotional life. The more we surrender, yeyatamam prapajante, the more we get rewarded, the more realization comes to us, the more taste we get. But the activity is the same. Thank you for listening. I so much appreciate my listeners, and I hope and pray that everyone will take up this beautiful path of learning about the learning about the activities and the personality of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna.